Up. I don't know why it's hot today. Maryland. Okay, Edward. Another neighbor. Another neighbor.
I love
Hola,
it.
hola, mi gente. Que lo que soy yo, Gia, the Kaizen investor. And tonight I am very excited because I am here with the one, the only
Woo!
Andrea. Round of applause.
Hello.
Round of
I
applause.
appreciate that. How are you? I'm excited to be here. Excited to get things rolling and drop some knowledge. So
Yes. So let the people know who you are and what you do, Sweet Pea.
yes, for sure. Well, hello. My name's Andrea Stakes, and so I'm the founder and CEO of the Integra Freelancers or Integra Virtual Staffing.
Mhm.
So I'm sourcing virtual talent, typically offshore in the Philippines, and I have ladies overseas take over a lot of tedious tasks for business, and I help a lot of businesses outsource things to these ladies. So.
How long have you been doing that now?
So it's been almost a year. It's been a lot of fun. Definitely just, well, for me, I'm also connecting with my culture because I am half Filipino.
Mhm.
It's nice to kind of bridge that gap, but it's really just taken my understanding of my own culture to the next level and just being able to integrate that into my business. It's just, it really takes family business to the next level. So it's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Now, here's the coolest thing I feel. You don't do regular just training and just cold calling training with the VAs. Tell the people what exactly encompasses the type of training you do for the VAs.
I love that. Yes, literally my first day of training. So it's a 4-day process for my
Mhm.
typical, I really niche down in the real estate industry. I have helped other industries outsource, but right now my niche is in that real estate. We have a happy home there. But literally, so I tell all of the people who want to sign up there, I tell them that I have a 4-day training process and we don't even get to the scripts or even understanding what real estate is until like the second, third day. The first day is straight up mindset training, understanding that, here's the thing. A lot of these ladies come from, customer service or
Mhm.
IT, where the role is quite submissive. You really have to, cater to somebody. The customer's always right. You have to sit there and then, let them go on you and just handle that. And you can't hang up. Like, the mindset is different because you're no longer having to be submissive. You're no longer having to
Mm.
have the customer's always right mentality. Of course, we have soft skills we learn, but the biggest thing is understanding that when you're turning into or essentially moving into this new role of a real estate investing virtual assistant, where you are becoming a part of somebody's team, you're the buyer on the phone. So we really empower them and tell them to have that strong mindset and really go into, them just falling in love with their role and realizing you're not just somebody who jumps on the phone. You're not just a number who's calling. You're not just part of a 300-person business. Typically, it's just you and the solopreneur who's ready to take that next step. So that's the biggest thing. It's literally our first lesson.
I
So,
love that.
yes.
I love that. But here's the brass tacks, okay? So, as I had talked before in the pre-show, I want to focus more on if a person is ready. When is a person ready to hire a VA? And what should they do prior to hiring a VA?
Yes, I love that. So, biggest thing, you should do this before you decide to outsource or hire on a virtual assistant or another staff member, like we talked about before. You really need to make sure that one, you have been inside of the role, you've mastered the role or the tasks that you're wanting to outsource. So you can't just say, I want to go ahead and just, I want to start a YouTube blog, but you've never even gone live. You can't just say, okay,
Mhm.
I'm going to hire somebody who's on Fiverr or Upwork or any site. You can even find a VA on Craigslist, like literally.
For
So,
real?
I mean, yes, you can. It's the best. And so, like, literally, you can't just expect that from somebody, and you don't even know what to expect. Like with this particular role, you have to make sure you've been in those shoes. You've come up with a process. So I guess the biggest step would be to lay out, what is the process of this particular task or thing you want to outsource, and then, essentially be able to train them. So if you're able to train them and show them the process, that's going to be your biggest step. So whether it's one task as simple as checking your email, or if it's multiple tasks during the day, you have to make sure that you have planned accordingly and you're able to set them up for success.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, that brings it clear for me because as I told you earlier, I have yet to hire a VA, but I am preparing. I am prepping for a VA. Because
Yes.
as I said before, many people have been in the role of being the employee, but many people have not had the role of being the employer or manager,
Right.
right? And so I have heard many times people who have VA say, oh, I hired her, or I hired him, and it just didn't work out. They just didn't get the role.
Right.
However, when you kind of peel back and look underneath the hood, you kind of see that it was never the VA. It was the employer. It was the
Right.
manager.
Right.
So, other than making sure there's task, what else should a person do prior to making sure they are ready for a VA?
Well, I really love that you said that, because a lot of the times it is truly the person who's hiring them. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a little feedback. So basically, sorry, can you hear me?
I hear you just
Okay.
fine.
So essentially, at the end of the day, a virtual assistant is truly going to be a reflection of that employer or somebody or the manager, whoever is deciding to bring them on their team. And, if you haven't had that manager experience before, it's okay. I came into the company and I've never held a W-2 management role in my life.
Mhm.
Like I've literally always been an employee. I was in customer service my entire life, patient care. And, I've never held a position where I had people under me. So
Yeah.
jumping into my business and all of a sudden I'm a manager, of 30, 40, 50, 60 ladies. It's a little bit scary and overwhelming. And you're like, at first I was like, what do I do? How do I know everything's in order? But then I just looked back and said, as an employee, because I'm very well experienced as an employee, like, what did I expect from my manager? How how you want to be treated?
Right.
How you want to be trained, how you want to be essentially catered to. You don't want to feel just like someone who's coming in and is kind of disregarded. You really want to feel like you're a part of a team. And so just being able to pull from your own experience and use that as a manager, and really kind of just get that mindset right for bringing on an employee, you'll really kind of feel that click. But I guess the biggest thing would set proper expectations, for
Mm,
that person. You have to really let them know exactly what the task is going to be, what they're going to be doing during the day, and make sure they're realistic expectations. So, you have to be mindful that there's growing pains in any business. It doesn't matter if you buy
yeah.
50 webinars or courses online that tell you to do it step by step. Every business is different, and there's going to be intimate things that are going to be pertaining directly only to your business just because of the way you're moving. And you have to just be able to understand there's going to be growth and there's going to be changes. And when something comes in your way, you have to understand that it's okay if there's a mistake or if there's a way to do it better. You just have to essentially take that opportunity, instead of considering it a failure or considering it a no-go, like, and especially don't blame it on somebody who doesn't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
Just take any kind of growing pain that comes into your business and really just push through with them, because most of the time, if you even bring it up like, hey, this is a problem obviously we're having in any area of your business, how can we make it better? Talk those things through with them. If you're outsourcing, you're not just bringing someone who's just doing the dirty work for you. You're bringing someone on your team that will give you that advice and give you that insight. It's a second pair of eyes. And so don't ever think that that's not an opportunity for you to take advantage of, becoming intimate with your employee and just really like breaking down those and having those uncomfortable conversations like, hey, obviously we could have done this better. What's our next action steps? What can I do as a manager and what can you do? So those are just the conversations, and it's a little awkward, but It's truly what's going to bring you to the next level instead of having to just give up or just, start over.
That's good. Sweetheart, before I forget, they only see half of your beautiful face on Instagram, and that's a sin. So move your camera back, mama.
Hold on.
There we go. Yes.
Oh, yeah. You got
Yes.
the
Much
look
better.
is there. You see my forehead now?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Hey, Trey. Hey, beautiful people. The party is happening on YouTube. The link is in my bio. Trust me, you want to be on YouTube. There's freebies being given out on YouTube, not Instagram. So hit the link in my bio and join the party on YouTube. And actually, if you have any questions, they're only going to be answered on YouTube, not here. Sorry. Not sorry, to be honest. Okay. So we got it. Make sure the first tip you've given us is to make sure we know what we want before we hire someone.
Right.
Powerful, simple, yet powerful. The other point you just shared, making sure that you know the tasks that need to be done and can you be able to teach them to someone?
Right. Exactly.
Like, that's for real. Because the one thing I've been doing recently, like I told you before, is writing down every single thing I do, every menial task that I do to make sure that, okay, can I share this with someone? Can I break it down to someone? Now, I'm going to be real with you. I want to know this. How much does the cultural influence what are the advantages and what are the challenges of merging two cultures together as they work virtually?
Right. So this is really, really important. So on that first day, like I said, we do the mindset. We also do American culture training. So it's really nice because the Filipino culture is just, I mean, I'm biased, but I mean, if you know Filipinos, I mean, there's other stuff other than the food that's really great. I mean, it's just super loving and just wanting to be a part of something. It's really, they get so empowered so easily, especially when they're in a group and it's a team. So, I mean, there's benefits from their culture also, just, the way that they approach different things, but also, we want to make sure that we don't have a strong cultural barrier. We want to kind of break that down. In the Philippines, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people talk about like the language, right? So English is actually taught alongside Tagalog, which is like the language in the Philippines. There's multiple, but that's the main one. And English is taught alongside. So a lot of people actually speak English in the Philippines. So that's one of the biggest things. And then there's kind of like the accent in a sense, but to really break those things down, we just have to just guide them and show them, we're not necessarily going, as in American culture, we're a little bit more laid back. We're not very like, yes, sir, ma'am, I want to help you, sir, ma'am. It's more like, hey, how can I help? So like just teaching them that they can just breathe and let their shoulders down. That's like, one of the biggest things. And it's a lot of stuff we have to adapt to. And every business is going to be different in how they cater to their clientele or whoever they're catering to, like prospects. But just being able to understand, what is the pace of things and how are you going about these things, and just teaching them. It's not going to be weird to tell them like, hey, I see that you're doing it this way, but this is typically a better way we do it here. Because at the end of the day, I tell them this, if, for example, like cold calling, if I cold called your house in the Philippines, and it's Andrea from Virginia, and I called you and I said, I want to buy your house in a straight up American accent, and you have no clue who I am, you're going to hang up on me, and it's just, at the end of the day, it's just respecting, where you are and who you're catering to. So, it's definitely, a lot of these ladies as well, they already love American culture. A lot of them like American artists and things like that. Just as some Americans, some people are really into like anime or like Japanese things. And so, it's not necessarily a huge culture shock, but there's going to be little tweaks. Maybe it's a way that you say a word or a way that you approach somebody. We don't take things as literal here. If we say it's raining cats and dogs, someone in the Philippines might be like, what? So it's just, when things come around and you notice it, you can definitely help them adapt to it, but just being open and understanding communication in every aspect, whether it's cultural, whether it's an SOP or process, communicating and just being completely 100% clear, even if they're not even Filipino, it's the most important thing.
So here's my other question. Now that you train, here's the thing. Let me go back so everyone has a clear context. Because I had to remember, people don't know how awesome you are. Do you realize how awesome she is, people? Here's the thing. Let them know, what is the process that you have of recruiting, onboarding, training, and then matchmaking, which I think is also your secret sauce too. Because you train and matchmake. Like, you're like the Tinder of like
I am the Tinder of virtual assistants. I love that so much. It's so true. Like, it's so true when it comes down to that. Yeah, so I'll start with that. So, sourcing is the biggest thing. I'm at this point, I already know my expectations, but if you were to source your virtual assistant, you'd have to have your criteria. We want somebody who matches a certain description, somebody who has adequate equipment for the job, somebody who is, we're not really necessarily looking for experience in my field. Actually, I don't hire anyone with any experience at all. So that's one of the biggest things. Like, all of my virtual assistants, they have no experience in real estate. It's not they don't understand. It's they just have never had that prior work. I guess the biggest reason why is because, in my opinion, it's harder. It's kind of like you can't teach an old dog new tricks kind of thing. You bring somebody in, and this could apply to anything. Like, you bring somebody in who already has a taste of that, or maybe has worked in the field. They know the processes of somebody else's business. They know the scripts, the approach of someone else's business, and who knows if it's even right or wrong, right? And so when you're trying to break that habit, it's harder than getting somebody fresh who's just ready to soak up all of that. So you can, look online and say, let's say you want someone who is going to be working for you in accounting or bookkeeping. You can look for somebody with that experience. And it's pretty straightforward, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to understand that you will always have to teach them and train them. So after we find these ladies and they don't have any experience, I guess the biggest key in sourcing is really just, their attitude and their personality. So, the accent is great. We always want someone with a very good American accent. That's one of the biggest things. But I mean, at the end of the day, I can always do accent training where I just fix a couple words and help them out with that. But the biggest thing is just having someone who's showing up for you. So always a video call, never over the phone. Because, you have to make sure you watch their facial expressions. I mean, we communicate with body language so much, and you can tell so much just from somebody. So are they smiling in the interview? Are they sitting straight? Are they excited? Are their mannerisms really showing that they're all for you? I'd rather have somebody who needs a little bit more training, but is eager to learn and eager to work with you, opposed to someone who's like, yeah, I got this. Because then you start getting the people who are like, yeah, I'm overly qualified, I fit all of your criteria, and then that they're whether they want to or not, it really just can instill this like almost laziness in them. So you want someone who's excited and who wants the job, who needs the job. There's so many people right now that are affected. We're in the middle of a pandemic. So, there's plenty of people who would kill for that job. So, when you're qualifying, think about the things other than just what their resume says. And really take time, 5, 10, 20 minutes sitting down, just talking to them, have that conversation. And then after we source them, we go into training. So I like to do a working interview where it's just about an hour. They actually get their hands dirty. We get to see them in their task and everything like that. So we see how they interact with it, because, the personality is always awesome, but we have to make sure they can keep up with us, right? So with those, with the ladies, essentially they come in and they'll start doing different things. Like for us, we'll do role play, or we'll give them an administrative task and watch them do it and make sure that they're catching on. And then we go into our training. So it's a 4-day training, and we break down everything, like literally from like the foundation of a house to the roof, So we break down everything on just the basics, but this could be even someone, like if they're an influencer, you know, hey, this is how I post on my Instagram. This is what we do in the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, the end of the day. Same with real estate. Hey, when you get on the phone, this is the dialer that you're using. This is the text messaging platform you're using, and this is how you go about it. So those are like those SOPs and processes that you should have in place for the training. And then from there, my favorite part, honestly, because the training is always fun. You know, the ladies are always excited. They come in and they, you know, they always work hard and get all of that knowledge soaked in. But then when it comes to the client, they're usually like, oh man, you know, who am I going to work with? You know, it's been fun working with you, but what's going to happen next? But I really go into a lot of things. So I teach them about DISC personality types. And I teach them that there's, you know, 4 different types of people. So that's part of our training. Yeah. So, you know,
sorry. That's the nerd in me. I love the DISC assessment. Carry
yes,
on.
isn't it the best? And so it's the best because, you know, the girls are like, oh, I know somebody who's a D personality, or I know that. And so it also gets them comfortable. Like, hey, if they're kind of like, who, you know, I've never called anybody from a different country before. I've only called other Filipino people, customer service based, or a company that was based in the Philippines. So I get them to realize, you know, yeah, we're thousands of miles away, but we're really no different. You know, you're someone you know personally could be the same as somebody who's here in the States, you know, and that just helps a lot. But also it helps them realize that same with their clients, you know, they have their personality types, and as long as you know, they can respect other people's, that's one thing. But when I match make, I typically like to pair like the same people together. So if I have a customer, a client who's like super, you know, OCD, you know, they want things a certain way, and they're like, you know, really particular and also love communication, like I'm gonna get someone who wants to talk, you know, somebody who's a question asker, somebody who's just as organized. When it comes down to like a more quiet client who's like, hey, listen, I have this task I need outsourced, but to be honest, I have my other tasks that I need to do throughout the day. I'm going to give you these 5 things, and I'm probably going to talk to you in like 8 hours at the end of your shift. And I would find someone who was okay and able to be on their own. Like for me, I wouldn't be able to handle that. Like I need to like talk to somebody all day. So like I literally talk to my girls all day. And so, you know, we just cater to them, and just different things based off of their personality type, their work style. It's so crucial because you're not just hiring. I mean, there's places like Fiverr, if you need a job done, like if you need a logo made, you can hire somebody. It doesn't matter they're a D personality type and you're an S personality type. You know, at the end of the day, you know, you're just going to be working with them for 5 hours, you know, or 5 days. But this is like something different when you start to bring on somebody into your company. This is a long-term thing. You want to make sure that you're not necessarily thinking of them as just somebody who's going to come in and handle those tedious things. This is going to be your right-hand girl or guy. This is going to be a business partner, or really a staff, a crew member. For a I say business partner, like literally my girls, they're my right hands, and they contribute so much to my business. But you know, their personalities mesh so well with me. So, you know, I'm okay with coming in every day, and they're okay with coming in every day. And like, you know, we love being around each other. And so you have to make sure that you're ready for the long run with them.
Now, here's the thing I want you to shed light on, because I don't think people really understand the real potential of having a well-oiled, mean team of staff. Because I don't even like to use the word VAs. So they're like, well, everyone's a VA now because we're all virtual, right? Like
that's true. I guess
virtual now. We're all virtual.
That's true.
Because I have learned from you and others that when you have a phenomenal team, you can have someone who is killing it in lead generation, someone who's awesome at doing acquisitions, dispositions, and other people who are close. It can be a smooth system.
Yes.
If you train and support. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yes, I love that, because roles and establishing roles is so important. I had my accounting and my accounting assistant training for 3 months, and she was miserable. So making sure your person, and she didn't say anything, so that was a lack of communication. So that was a big growing pain I went through, where I realized, you know, one of my ladies was just not in a role that she was in love with. You know, she was in a role that she wanted to help me with, but you have to place people where they're at their strongest. So if somebody is really great at talking and building relationships, maybe that's going to be your dispo girl or guy.
Yeah.
That person is going to be, building those relationships with buyers and talking about their criteria and figuring out what they like and just making them feel really good about themselves. But then you might have someone who's a killer on the phones and loves the thrill of just, pulling in leads. But, really when it comes down to connecting for long periods of time, because typically those buyer conversations are longer than seller conversations, they might get a little uncomfortable, and you might want to get somebody who's still good at building that fast rapport, pulling information, and put them there. And then, on the back end, if you have someone for transaction coordination, you're going to need somebody who can handle and who actually loves being into those those problem solving roles or paperwork roles and likes to be behind that keyboard. So when you put the right people in the right places, amazing things happen. But you have to make sure that you're communicating with them and also taking a step back and looking at your business run. At that point, I would assume that you've built out SOPs, but taking a step back instead of being in the midst of it all. And this is something I've literally done last week, just taking a step back and watching my ladies work and watching my ladies move in the business and seeing things that might be falling through the cracks. Because when you're in there and you have your blinders on, you don't really see the other fires that are happening. So when you have that team in place, take a step back and watch them work. And I mean, it's virtual, but you can see things happen. But that's the biggest thing. So.
Now, here's the other thing I want to know. You have the knack as well of looking at businesses and figuring out how they can be more efficient.
Yes, this is true.
How? How? Because I've heard this over and over about you. I'm like, I did everyone's like, gotta go to Andrea. I'm like, oh, wow. How and what do you do?
Right. So, I mean, it really could be any business. I mean, I just worked with someone who had I guess it's a mortgage company where he's with VA loans, and with him, he's outsourcing cold callers. And so another thing is just, he didn't really understand the KPI tracking, or maybe the, just having a person who is leading the rest of the crew, because it was a large group of people. You have to just kind of find out where the bottlenecks are, and it's hard when you're not that, when you get a second pair of eyes on things, it's easy to kind of catch those. But when I look into other people's businesses, or I see how their flow is going, you really have to kind of like what you said you're doing. Write down every single thing from the beginning of your day to the end of your day, and really kind of say, okay, there's a gap here. Because, sometimes when you're going about it, you don't really realize as you're going through the motions. But, when you have it written down and you can really visually see it, even getting I forgot the name. I think that it's not a planogram, but essentially a flow chart where it's what's the first step and where does that flow into and where does this process flow into? A lot of these things, we just go about them, but when you see it in front of you, you can say, okay, that's where we want to start fixing, outsourcing, and then letting it go again. So it's taking a step back.
Annette has an excellent question. She says, can you hire a VA for skills that you aren't familiar with, like QuickBooks and marketing? That's a good question.
It is a good question. So I would say, yes, I would say try your best to familiarize yourself on that. You can take, there's a lot of different QuickBooks courses. I'm assuming that you're wanting to outsource the accounting side of your business. You want to be able to, be in those shoes and know how that process works first. And then you can definitely outsource to them. But, imagine if you were outsourcing your accounting and you don't know the process of your accounting, and then all of a sudden a family emergency happens, or something happens where you lose, let's say there's a power outage or something, to a point where the virtual assistant can't come in. If you can't come in and step into that role, or have another team leader step into that role, you're kind of stuck. So you have to make sure you know that, but you can definitely have someone come in who's, taking care of a task that you're not necessarily strong at, or something you just don't want to do, as long as you're, the steps and the processes and things like that.
What are some things that you've noticed with people who employ VAs?
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that they need to be approve upon? Basically, what I'm trying to say is that because what I love about you and your team is that you guys keep in touch. So it's not the fact that you're only just training your VAs and saying bye bye. You do
Mm-hmm.
continual training with them to make sure that they're improving and that they have the
Yes.
support that they need. So when they come back to you and they have to fuss and they have to, I shouldn't say fuss, but express themselves
Right. Right.
in
Right.
regards to challenges, what are some ongoing themes that you've seen or heard?
I guess the biggest thing is going to be like that lack of communication. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I haven't heard from my client. You know, my client hasn't reached out to me in 2 days. I've been sending leads and I don't know where these leads are going. A lot of them just come to me and they might be discouraged, you know, like they get to a point where they're putting 100% in, but then, it's not being recognized. So that's a huge thing because, the moment that they become discouraged, you'll see a lot of changes. You'll see a change in their attitude and their work ethic. So just making sure that you're 100% there for them and acknowledging what they're doing for you is important, because we can get so in the motion of things that we can just forget to actually reach out and, tell them that they're doing a great job. And then a lot of the times we'll just say only reach out when something's wrong. So you have to really be there 100% of the time in all different scenarios. And I guess another thing is sometimes when somebody's trying to train something new, right? It's a new process. A lot of investors will come to me. So that's kind of on the VA side of things. A lot of investors come to me and say, hey, Andrea, my VA is just not getting it. She's just not. I've given her this, I've given her these tools, these resources. I told her what to do, and she's just not grasping this new thing. And so I'll say, okay, well, what did you teach her? And he or she will break down, what's going on and say, I did it this way. But a lot of the times it's just because they're breaking it down in a way that makes sense for them. They'll be, everyone's a different learner. You have the audio learners, the visual learners, kinesthetic learners, and you have to be able to cater as well to that person that you're teaching. So you can't pick up a phone and call them and tell them, hey, so you're going to go ahead and start working on pulling this list from the county, and then you're going to do this, this, and this. You got it? So a lot of the things is, a really great way to cater to everything is going to be training via like Zoom, where you can, just like you and me are here, we could record this. I could go step by step and also have them writing out the SOPs. So you have, the written portion of it, the kinesthetic portion where they're actually writing it out, and then have them test it where they're actually doing it, listening, and it's visual. So you have to just be able to understand, take a moment, say, okay, if she's not understanding this, what can I do better? And maybe it's just the way you have to switch up what you're doing, because really anything can be outsourced to a virtual assistant. It's just, making sure that you have everything in order and aligned for them to be able to catch on and run with you, but you have to be able to cater to them as well. So
I love that. I love that. Sorry. I just love that. I do. Because as we spoke before, the other issue that I've heard is, once again, making sure that we recognize that these are beautiful people just like you and I.
yes.
And this is not just this is staff. This is your team member. Like you said, that's your business partner. When you treat them as such, you'll get the results that you desire.
Right.
Really that.
Exactly.
Respect. When someone is valued and someone is respected and someone feels like their work matters, they're going to work well and they're going to work hard.
Exactly. And it doesn't even have to be in the form of bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my girls every day, that I appreciate them in some way or the other, even if it's hey, thanks for everything today. Those verbal things are great. I mean, they love the bonuses. I love bonuses.
I love bonuses too.
But, incentivizing them, inspiring them, pouring into them, it's so important. And it's something that just seems simple, but it's truly like the foundation of everything before we start working, before we do that. And it kind of goes into the mindset. So typically I'll have those conversations with anyone that I'm working with, like, hey, let's kind of get everything settled on your end so that, you have a well-working machine that they can just jump on and help you drive. So.
Now, I want to switch it up a little bit, Andrea.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I love your energy. I want to switch it up a little bit. You are celebrating, you've been doing this for about a year now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First of all, happy anniversary because
Cool.
you've been killing it. You've been
Thank you
killing
so
it.
much.
Your name in the DMV streets is strong, girl.
Woo! The
Strong
DMV.
streets. But I want to know this. What have you learned about yourself
Yes.
as you've worked with these phenomenal women and gentlemen? I know you have some gentlemen who are
Yes.
VAs. What have
Yeah.
you learned about yourself in terms of being a leader and a business owner?
So I've learned a lot.
Mm,
It's been, there's definitely growing pains. I've learned that, you know, sometimes really for me, I'll be honest, sometimes I was a little too lenient or too nice because I didn't want to be that boss. I didn't want to be that boss that was just like, hey, you got to do this and this, because I've had my experiences. I wanted it to be fun, but I realized for me, setting ground rules, expectations in my company, I've learned I've had to, find that happy place between, being able to be 100% in the business, not having too much fun. That was the
mhm.
biggest thing, and it sucks, it's because it's like you have a bunch of young, spunky Filipinas in the room and we just want to have fun. But then you realize, oh, we've been talking for 45 minutes. So,
Yeah.
and that's just something with my team, my direct team. And so that was a big thing that we were able to squash. And I guess the biggest thing I've learned about like myself, I would really say is that, I realized that problems happen. I can be really
Yes.
hard on myself. I can say, whoa, like, this is terrible. This is crazy. This is happening to me. But I realized, between like me and my mentors that this is normal. These are things that happen. Instead of freezing up, I have to push through them. I have to acknowledge them and face them and overcome these things, and not just say, this is only happening to me. So that's more so on a personal side. But I hope someone out there understands and has felt those growing pains. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
it happened.
All too well. James, so true. James Nelson says not
Oh,
only a good, oh yeah, but at such a young age, Andrew, you accomplished so much. So much. It's so true. It's so
I
very
appreciate it.
true.
I would have never thought. I seriously, like literally a year ago, I would have never thought that I was going to be working with over 100 Filipinas and in business. A year ago, I wanted to be a hygienist. I wanted to clean teeth for the rest of my life. Things happen, but when something falls into your lap, you have to run with it. And so I realized this is like where my passion is. I love what I do. I love seeing the way that I'm impacting these ladies financially for them. I mean, a lot of
Mhm.
them are the breadwinners. So it's so rewarding. And I mean, sometimes I forget that I'm like 23 and I'm just like, oh, I feel so old. I end the day and I'm like, but there's a lot for me to learn. I have everyone. There's so much more, and I mean, I do appreciate it, but it's been a journey, and jumping into this so quick. There's a lot of different things in business that I've been able to learn, but the beautiful thing is that you're able to take soft skills from any of my experiences I've had before and apply them. So it's been exciting. It's been
Mhm.
fun, but it's also a little scary.
But that's good though. You know what? If it's not scary, then it's not worthwhile, to be honest.
Yes, we have to have that thrill.
You got to. You got to. Seriously. Now, Andrea, who inspires you and what keeps you going?
Who inspires me?
Mhm.
Um, I would say my best friend, Christina
Aw.
Spells, or Christina Aguilera, formerly known
Shout
as.
out Christina.
Yes,
She's in the building. She's
and
in the IG
I
building. Hey, Christina.
she's there. I don't know. I think she's in Georgia, but she's just so incredible, honestly. Just seeing another woman like that who looks like me, who's young, she's in her 20s, and showing me that, things are truly possible, but and also just, the fact that she's been able to show me that, age is nothing, and
Yes.
that being like a woman of color is nothing, and that I can truly jump into anything. And as long as you're passionate, you love what you do, there's nothing you can't overcome. So she's been awesome. And I forgot your other question.
What keeps you going?
What keeps me going? My girls. Those are my
Mm.
girls, them sending me photos like, Andrea, I've been able to buy this particular thing. I've been saving for it. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to. So like those fun things are like, hey, I just bought a new face mask because I'm like, those are fun. But then you get the stories of Andrea, like, we were struggling with putting food on the table, or Andrea, we almost lost our home because everyone in our household lost their jobs, and you've been able to change it. Like those things definitely keep me. And then also like the investors, like the girls are great too, and I love them, but the investors will come back and they'll say, Andrea, you've saved me like thousands of dollars in my business by telling me I don't need these things. And then, hey, Andrea, like I've been able to, I've had people get their first wholesale deal with my virtual assistants, and it's like just that excitement and seeing them win. And it's just been, I thrive on that, and so it motivates me a lot.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I find it intriguing, seriously intriguing. I love hearing your stories and stories of awesome people like you, because it always reminds me that success is not linear. It's not a straight path. Look at it. You just said that your planning was to go to dental hygiene school. Then you took a pause, and you took another job, and you took another job, and you found real estate. How'd you find real estate, by the way?
How did I, well, are you saying like, how did I find my like niche, or just real estate in general?
Real estate in general.
Yeah. So, basically,
sorry, giggle.
Everyone asks me. So, I was working 3 jobs, and I was in the dental office, and I was working in retail, and I was your friendly neighborhood Uber driver, and so I was busy. And
hustling.
So I was hustling, and I was like, I think it's boo season. I think I want a boyfriend. So I went on Tinder. It's so funny because we talked about that. So I went on Tinder, and I matched. Yeah, the first guy I matched with, our first date was a RIA, and we ended up going to.
Shut up.
Yeah, we went to a.
Oh, professional. Sorry.
I'm sorry. No. We went to a RIA together, and it was a lot of fun. I realized there was so much more than just a W-2. I learned what real wealth was. I mean, stuff that I was really closed off to. And then I just kept going. I mean, we didn't work out, but I just kept going. I just kept going to the RIA every month, and it was I started networking, and it was super uncomfortable because I'm showing up to this place. I didn't even know, like, I didn't understand like what a realtor was. I didn't understand what a mortgage was. Like, and I'm over here like, it's like a foreign language. And I was just like, I don't know, but I love it. I just knew there was something more to it. So I just kept showing up. And essentially after that, I ended up getting my own virtual assistant. And so I invested. I got my first virtual assistant, and I actually had someone, a close friend of mine, asked me like, hey, you've done really well in training your virtual assistant. Can you train my aunt? And I was like, sure, let's go. Like, now he was like, yeah, so my aunt's Jamaican, and she lives in Jamaica, and she wants to do cold calls. And so the first VA I ever trained was Jamaican. And essentially I spent forever just, going through the motions and trying to build out training SOPs and showing her how we do things in my business. And then, after we essentially handed her off, they ended up becoming successful. And then it was just referrals. So I wasn't expecting to start a virtual assistant company. It was really something that just fell into my lap. And, I was, everything just kept moving from there. So it was definitely exciting.
That's cool. And yes. And that's right. Surround yourself with the right people. It's a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing.
So
seriously.
Important. And when you start surrounding yourself with the right people, the people who want to see you win, you lose people. That was one of my
Speak
biggest.
On it. Speak on it, Andrea. Let them know, Andrea. Let them know. I be telling them, they don't listen to me. I be telling them they don't listen to me. Let them know, Andrea. I'm just gonna sit back. Go.
Yes. You lose people, and it's one of the hardest things, but when it comes down to this, you can't be upset. You can't be angry that, someone just doesn't understand, because when you get into this space, like everyone who's here, everyone that is in our industry or any kind of industry, as long as it's an industry of like anything entrepreneurship wise or business related, and you step out of that W-2, that first initial step, you're going to have people who are your W-2 minded people and people who just don't understand the commitment you need as an investor or as a business owner. And so those people will get upset with you and they may leave, but the people that you surround yourself with, you have to understand that they're there for a reason, and they've come into your life because they're a part of that next step with you. And so you just have to keep moving. Yeah.
I'm speechless. It's so true. It's
Yeah.
so true. It's so very, very true. And you have to accept that, and I shouldn't say be okay with it, but don't be surprised.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised.
100%.
Yeah, that's it. So before we wrap up, I want to know, you had a wonderful freebie for the people because Andrea is dope. She's dope. So what amazing thing do you want to share with the people, Andrea?
Yeah. So, I guess the biggest thing, I hope that I brought a little bit of value and insight on it. But if any of you guys are thinking about moving into getting a virtual assistant, whether you source them yourself, I'm not the only way you get a virtual assistant. You can literally find somebody, and now like what to expect, how to look for them. You can go, there's resources like Fiverr. There's resources like onlinejobs.ph, Craigslist, word of mouth. If you know a Filipino, ask them,
That's a good point.
They'll talk. Seriously. They don't even have to be Filipino, a virtual assistant can be anywhere. But when you find that person and you start going into the qualifications, like I said before, you have to make sure that you have processes and SOPs set up for them. So after you get to that point, you also have to make sure that you can manage their schedule and know what's happening. So I have an example of a schedule. I think that I sent you that link there, but it really breaks it down. You have to, just as much as you should time block yourself, time block your day in the 15-minute marks. If it's bad, the 5-minute marks. But for this schedule, it's by the 15-minute mark. You can build out a schedule on your day-to-day things. Because whether you get a virtual assistant for an hour, 4 hours, 8 hours, you have to know exactly what's going on by the 15-minute mark throughout their whole day, because you want to be able to have a Monday through Friday schedule and say, okay, it's Tuesday and it's 3:30. You don't want to say, well, what's happening with my virtual assistant, or what is she doing right now? You want to know, okay, it's 3:30 on a Tuesday. She's checking my emails, or it's 5 o'clock on a Friday and she's pounding out that marketing right now because it's the hot zone. Everyone's getting off of their Zoom calls from work, right? So, breaking that down, I think, is the most important thing. So I think I put, that's so cute. You said that, text the word VA. I love that. So it's just a nice little sample schedule. You can go to Canva and beautify it. You can do whatever you want. But that's just a really, really solid place to really start structuring the schedule. And you might even want to use it for yourself.
Yes,
So
seriously. So let me put it up again. Come on, technology. Come on, technology. I think I misspelled scheduler, but don't judge me. Scheduler, you know what it is.
Hey, it's fine. I actually like that better.
So text the word VA to 31996 if you want that free scheduler that do you want to show it? Do you want to? If not, no biggie.
Yeah. Let me pull it up.
No biggie. Yeah.
I think that'll be fun.
Cool. Look, Annette says I need to schedule myself. Me too, Annette. I need this. When she showed me this today, I was like, oh my God, I need this.
No, yeah. And so it's just on Excel. We'll do Google Docs. I don't have Excel. So basically, it's like I said, the time is here and it's broken down by the 15-minute mark. And this is a sample. So I do have a blank area where you can build it out. But really, just being able to know what are your AM tasks, what are these things? And by the time you write all of these things down, you're going to be able to say, okay, let me plug and chug this. So, whether you're doing email hygiene or data hygiene, social media, what are your pre-break tasks? What are they going to do? Before they wrap things up and take that pause, what are like the essential things in the morning, whether they're cold calling or marketing, or if they're doing anything like that, just making sure that you have these things broken down. So, they could seriously vary. It's across the board, it's the same, but really, who knows, it might take them maybe the whole entire morning on a Tuesday to scrape data from the county on a Tuesday, your pre-foreclosure data. And then on a Wednesday, we're hitting tax delinquents and we need another 3 hours. So this is just what it looks like. It's going to be a really good reference for you, and then you can just beautify it based off of what you need. So,
and that's, once again, it helps to build clear communication and expectations for any team member that you onboard, so they know, okay, this is how I want your workflow to be.
Right. Exactly.
Or your own workflow, like myself.
100%. 100%. I had to seriously time block my life before I was ready. So it's going to be, it's efficient. The only thing we can't get more of in this world is time and land. It'll never, we can never create more of it. So taking advantage of the most valuable thing that you have is so crucial, because it flies. It's Sunday. It was just like Friday, like an hour ago. So I'm just,
I feel like I just texted you.
I know. So, but yeah, I think it will help. It was one of the biggest things that I had to do, one of my first steps into it. So once you do that, you'll have a clear, idea on, is it time for me to outsource? Am I able to handle my schedule and then also handle someone else's schedule? So.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. Now, I'm putting her, let me get it up here. This is Andrea's email. However, Andrea's booked and blessed. So she doesn't need more clients, but if you want to join her wait list, because my girl got a wait list, you can join her wait list.
Yes.
Booked and blessed.
For sure. No, if you guys have any questions or if you want to reach out to me, definitely shoot me an email, and I can definitely see how I can help. But I hope that you guys got some value from this. It was fun hanging out. It was fun just being around your energy, girl. Honestly, you're so incredible.
I miss seeing you in person, though.
I know. It is so crazy. Like, we're literally down the street.
We are. We're like 30 minutes from
No, that's so funny. I love it.
But thank you so much for coming on. For anyone else who does not know where to contact you, where should they go?
Yeah, just there, or honestly on Facebook. I'm all over Messenger. Just shoot me a DM. And if you have something, or if you need any more information regarding like my VA program or how I could help you, you can definitely shoot me an email, and we'll make some things happen. So,
all righty. Well,
thank you
so much. Have a good night.
You too, girl. Talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.